Hello, welcome to the very first Olive Well podcasting where we all live well, and we are here with LaPastora with the Sexy Sunday show, and she's gonna bring sexy back to all of us. It doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, how old you are, how young you are, she's bringing sexy back to your life.
We are bringing sexy back, Diana. I'm so excited that you're launching this podcast. I think you are so amazing, and I know how much you love people and you want people to live well and do well and just be well. So I'm so excited to just be here with you today.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm so excited to launch with you because I know your heart has always been in the right place. So wait, just tell me a little bit about the Sexy Sunday show. Tell me a little about you. Tell me how this all came about.
I am so excited about Sexy Sunday. I was so happy when you saw, what we're doing with the show, because I think like you saw it very briefly. I think I posted something and you saw like 30 seconds of what I was doing, and you immediately reached out, and I was just so grateful for that. So Sexy Sunday just came about actually really just a couple weeks ago. I think pretty much all of us this year, from what I've been hearing, just from the collective, I think at large is that a lot of people are really stepping into their passion projects. And to
Yes.
me, Sexy Sunday is a passion project for sure. It kind of evolved into that. I was getting ready to market a product for women. It's a clitoral stimulation product called Vasoplex. And so basically, one of my partners said, I think we need a show to kind of educate women on what this product is and how to take care of their bodies and different things like that. And so I said, okay, well, how about Sexy Sunday? And it just kind of made sense to me
Yeah.
because, you kind of know my backstory. I was a former pastor's wife. I was in ministry for 20 years. I love Jesus. I love people. I love Yeshua. I love, spirituality, kind of just all things spiritual. And so I just thought Sexy Sunday would be the perfect name. And then during that process, I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot do this unless I create a character. And so I thought, okay, I'll create this alter ego, not even realizing that I was creating an alter ego, which I'm sure you and I are going to kind of talk about in the
Right.
show, is this alter ego, LaPastora. And she's so vibrant and amazing and just comfortable in her body and her skin. And she's just having fun. And she's kind of embracing this journey of her sensuality at 50 years old. And, getting kind of into that frame, it was actually very liberating. And the show just launched a couple weeks ago. It actually launched on Valentine's Day. And we've gotten a great response. And truthfully, I have gotten a little bit of pushback, but I've had more support and more encouragement and more just people that are loving it and kind of embracing it and wanting to be a part of it than people actually that aren't taking to it. So that's pretty cool too.
It's funny because I listened to it, and for me the whole like sexuality thing gets a little bit difficult. I was raised in a Greek family. We were shamed very young about sex, and I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it. And it's funny when you say things like, this alter ego, because when since I've known you, I think I met you in 8th grade, and I have always thought of you as just this vibrant, live, self confident person. And when you say that, that you created this alter ego, I feel like that's all of us. We all have that in us. And sometimes people look at us and they don't know what we struggle with. And so you're really teaching people that they can get out of their comfort zone and who they are.
Yeah, as I started to like do the alter ego and kind of like LaPastora, came to life, I realized that actually we all have an ego, no matter. I mean, I'm a Reiki master, like I'm, doing sound baths all the time. Like I'm going to yoga, going to, Pilates, like I'm meditating, I'm chanting, I'm praying. I'm very, spirituality is a big part of my everyday life. And I think that I realized that no matter how spiritually aligned I was to source, God, connection, vibes, feathers in my hair, like, whatever it is,
Right.
like, I realized that no matter how spiritually in tuned I am, no matter how much I go to church now, no matter how much like I'm in the books, with learning this stuff, and no matter how like maybe spiritually elevated I think I am, I still have an ego. And I realize that everybody has one, like no matter what. So if Ram Dass said it's the costume of identity that we're wearing every day, then why can't we choose the one that we're in? And then it kind of evolved into like, oh my gosh, maybe it's not alter like ALTER, maybe it's alter ALTAR. So this is a conversation that I kind of been resonating with me the last couple of days, that maybe there's a higher state of consciousness that we're actually supposed to be embracing. Because like Kobe Bryant had an alter ego with the Black Mamba. Beyonce had one with Sasha Fierce. Eminem had one with Slim Shady, Batman, Superman. Like there's so many alter egos out there. But I actually think it's just a higher state of consciousness to actually get you to step into just this bigger, form of who you are. Because I don't know, maybe this would be a good question for you, is that I don't know if our bodies are actually big enough to contain the amount of energy that we actually have. I wonder if our bodies are too small for the amount of like power that we actually can walk in.
Yeah, that's a really interesting thought because I think they are. They are too small.
Yeah,
And
I
so
think
we
so
limit
too.
ourselves.
Yes. And so like maybe the whole alter ego, or trying on, or an alter ego is a way for you to kind of step in to this bigger version of who you are, which is not really a bigger version of who you are. Like we say it's a bigger version of who we are, but I think it's just actually who we are in our
Right.
core. And I reflect back on video, when I was a single mom on welfare, and you knew my story, and I became a millionaire in 5 years with a home-based business and did very well for myself. And I was kind of like reflecting back on that video, and thinking, wow, I was talking about how I was so much more comfortable with failure than I was with success. And I think that that's why we might need an alter ego, or maybe even a coach like yourself. I value and acknowledge the coaches today that are, stepping in to help people to get to this kind of bigger version of who they are. Because, therapy, I love therapy. And obviously, I'll date a man that says he's in therapy, but I think it's rehashing a lot of our old stories. And I think that we need to not be victimized by that, but somehow be empowered by that. And I think that that's where coaches like yourself can actually build that bridge to get you from your past, into basically your future, and just kind of stepping into who you really are, honestly.
Right. You said something really interesting when we talk about, we're always talking about fear of failure, fear of failure. And it's so true that so many of us are fear of success. We're fear
100%.
of, what does that success bring? What kind of change does it bring?
Mm-hmm.
What does it do to our current relationships? What does it do to ourselves? How do we handle it? And a lot of people don't realize that that's their fear. They're just afraid of success and what that will bring to the table.
Oh yeah, because when you are so comfortable in being a certain way, and then you have this epiphany that that's not really who you are,
Right.
there are going to be a lot of things around you and a lot of people around you that are not, they're very comfortable, let's say, with who you are. And so when you start kind of speaking up for yourself and standing up for yourself, and now you're a free thinker, right? And
Right.
now you're kind of, you know, um, metamorphosing, right? Really metamorphosing into almost, I wouldn't say another person, but it's like almost like another version of yourself. But I keep wanting to go back to, it's always that higher state of your own consciousness, right? So when you're in a lower state of consciousness, you are in regret, you are in shame, you are in bitterness, you are in resentment, you are in guilt, right? But when you're in that higher framework of consciousness, you are in love and in joy and in gratitude, and that vibration is very, very high. And so what happens is when you get around people or you walk into a room, you will notice that you will shift all that energy around you, because we are energy. And if we just agreed that our bodies are too small for all of that,
Yeah.
if we started to really come out, of our shell of who we are, we're going to attract a lot of attention to ourselves. And in some of us, we don't want that kind of attention. And maybe that's also another reason why, um, the alter ego.
Right.
It's a way to kind of separate. That's not really who I am, because I never feel like, even when I was speaking on stages, and, I've spoke like on stages with Tony Robbins and Tom Ballou and Cedric Harris and Calvin Becerra and, some of the
Mhm.
greatest speakers ever. And I never, ever, like, whenever I listen back to myself, I'm like, oh my God, that's me. And they're like, that to
Why
be an
not?
amazing human being. Yes, for sure.
Why not? What
Absolutely. Yeah.
what gets you
So,
through that day and that moment and that, you know? And why couldn't we
yeah.
be sexy at 50? Why can't we be sexy at 50? We
Yeah,
can.
like we were talking about, I want to challenge you to, this whole like body piercing, belly button piercing thing, and I just got my belly button pierced like within the last year, but it keeps falling out because I'm a stomach sleeper. So the other day I went and got my belly button pierced again, and I had to have it redone and everything. And I just love like being able to just have all these experiences at any age. Like, why do we think this only happens in your 20s and your 30s? Like,
I
I
don't
missed two
know.
decades of my life, married, to a minister, and realizing that like I could only wear skirts, I couldn't wear pants, I couldn't wear makeup, I couldn't for
Yeah.
2 decades of my life. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so fun to have these experiences, you know?
It's
So who
funny. I
says
took
we
my
can't be
belly button
sexy at
piercing
50?
out when I was pregnant and then never put it back in, right? Because then I was just in my 30s, a mom, like all the reasons why you don't do that.
I love it. Yeah. And I think our kids, like I have a whole different style of parenting anyway. I feel like it's funny. I was like, oh, I want to be like kind of like a cruise, like a tour guide, with my kids. And my mom says, Lisa, no, you're more like a cruise director, like, and, so I want my kids, I want them to, really, embrace their individuality. And mood is very important to me. Diana, mood is very, very important to me, meaning that you do things that make you feel good. And
Yes.
if you don't feel good doing those things, don't do them.
Yeah.
And, I think this would be a good conversation for us to have about people doing so many things because they feel obligated to do those things. And
Yes.
I think that there should be more inspired action. So if you feel inspired to go deliver balloons to somebody to congratulate them, go do it.
Yeah.
If you feel inspired to pick up the phone and call somebody and say, hey, you know what? I want to take you out tonight, for dinner. And, maybe you're a little nervous to do that because you're dating or you're kind of putting yourself out there. Maybe you feel inspired just to go do something new or try something new. I know you talked about that you got a new pair of roller skates, and I was like, I'm jealous now LaPastora wants roller skates.
Yes.
So I feel like, those are inspired actions. And I feel like that directly relates to our mood and how we live. And I think, again, if we're living from a high state of mood and we're elevated by feeling good about the things that we do, like, who wants to go to a party if you don't feel good? Who wants to go on a date if you don't feel good? Like, you just shouldn't even be there. I mean,
Right.
I don't know. What do you think, like, about mood?
Right. No, I 100% agree. And why don't you feel good? Why don't you feel inspired to go to that party? And what's holding you back? Like what? Sometimes it's just your own insecurities, you know? So why
For
can't you
sure.
just pull out one of your altered egos and say, you know what? I'm going to feel good. This is going to, there's so many times I felt like so insecure to show up somewhere. And it wasn't,
Really?
it was,
Mm.
and I feel like my mood was more like I was like I wasn't good enough. I didn't look the part. I didn't have the right clothes. I didn't have this. I didn't have that. And there was so much of that. that held me back. And so to be able to put on this, today I'm going to be that outgoing girl, or today I'm going to be, today I'm going to be really reserved and take some time and read a book on the couch. Whatever it is that your mood is, you should be able to, or what you want to do, to be able to pull those different personalities out of you. I love
Yeah,
that.
for sure. And I
I love
think
that. I
like
love
a
that you're
lot of
making
that,
it okay for women at 50 to do these
yeah,
things.
for sure. Because like I think, I had a lot of teaching when I was in the church that trust was the foundation of every relationship. And I realized in this whole process of Sexy Sunday that we were romancing. Our mission is to romance the world through reinventing relationships into relationships, REAL. And it felt like in a society where we have so many filters and Botox and fillers and surgery, and believe me, I've done it all, okay? And I'm still doing it all.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like authenticity is the foundation of every relationship. And I'm not saying not to go and get fantastic plastic, because if that's what you want to do, go do it. What I'm saying is that in any relationship, authenticity is definitely the foundation of anything that you want it to be beautiful. And even if you're in a marriage, or even if you're in a relationship with somebody, whether it's a business relationship, partnership, marriage, with your children, siblings, whatever it is, whatever relationship it is time, collective, to start stepping into our authenticity. And if we need to create an alter ego to do that, just to be able to get us out of our own looping and our own stories and our own conditioning and our own culture that we've been raised in. Because I know you mentioned that you were raised in a Greek family. You didn't talk about sex. There wasn't, I know I was raised in a family where, I mean, Diana, you knew me when during that time when we were in junior high, my parents were the largest distributor of adult film in the country. So I was surrounded by porn. I was living in a very liberal house, cocaine, drugs, drinking. I mean, it was a total party scene. And just being raised in that, I was like, oh, I never want to do a drug. I never want to do any of that. But I also had no sex education. None. I didn't know about condoms, or, I was just like, oh my God, woohoo. And I didn't know about any of that stuff. So, I think now people need that space to be able to have these conversations and not be judged for their kinks or their fetishes, or the fact
Right.
that they want to get divorced, or they don't want to get married, or they want to be monogamous, or they want to be polyamorous, or whatever it is. I think there needs to be a safe place for that to be discussed. And it also needs to create that place of authenticity in every relationship. So even any relationship we're in can be reinvented if we just back it up and start going, okay, you know what? I need to get real with myself first. And then I need to just be as real as possible with everybody else around me.
Yeah, I 100% agree with everything you're saying. Isn't it funny that we were raised the exact total extreme, one side of sexuality to the other, but our messaging was the same, right? Our
Yes,
messaging was the same, and we
very
were
much so.
never taught to love ourselves and our bodies and who we
Yes,
were, and to use that to please ourselves, as opposed to, it was all about, for me it was like shamed. Sex is for having babies with your husband. For you it was just so open, doesn't matter, just about the fun. But there was never that, like, what about us, what about
it's so true.
ourselves, what about who
Yeah.
we are and what brings joy to us.
Yeah, I think like this is part of our evolution right now as women.
Mhm.
And because we've had a lot of evolution just, with voting and all kinds of different, things that we've been able to experience just in the last 50 years.
Right.
Not knocking men, but women have been ruled over for over 10,000 years, right? So there's this whole evolution happening, I think, with women. Um, and it's different than the feminist movement. What it is it's women that are actually now starting to understand that they are actually a divine feminine being, right? Which again goes back to energy. So When like I was a single mom, I'm single mom for a very long time. And when you're a single mom, you tend to be more in your masculine energy than your feminine energy, right? So when you start learning about your yin and your yang in your own body and your chakra system, and that the body is a very sophisticated machine,
Right.
you start to step into almost like an energy of sort of a divine femininity. Okay. And then it's different. You're not just in your masculine energy so much, like, masculine energy, chasing, hunting, right?
Right.
Putting yourself out there. I noticed that now, getting more into my feminine framework, and then starting to do these photos of myself that are very intimate experiences. I'm always creating my own content. It's a very private experience for me. I love putting on lingerie. I love dressing up. Like, I used to never like that stuff. For my ex-husband, my first husband, he always wanted me in lingerie. My whole two bottom dresser drawers were full of lingerie, and I absolutely, hated doing it for him. And now I can just have this experience with just myself, I guess. And it's sort of again, very liberating, very inspiring to me, very empowering, that I'm this beautiful woman, like, and that I can be in that body and that framework. And I think it's just part of our evolution, like, as women, that we are these divine, beautiful beings. We have these holy chalices. We call them holy chalices, that we birth creation into the world. And the body is art, and our hearts are art. And we should be honored, and we need to do that for ourselves first, obviously.
Yeah. I love that. You're right. Do it for yourself first. Like, I mean, how different is wearing lingerie for your husband when you're just not in the mood versus just putting lingerie for yourself because you just want to feel that beautiful, feminine, sexy self for you?
Yeah, that is a huge nugget right there, because when we do it for other people, it doesn't take on the same vibration, right, as if we do it for ourselves. So, like, if we do it for ourselves, it can be very empowering. So I'll tell you a funny story. It's kind of a cool story, but one of our friends from high school reached out to me yesterday. And he's a gentleman I haven't heard from in a very long time. And he's, I think, a couple grades, ahead of us when we were in high school. And he said, I haven't heard from him in years. He says, I love this journey that you're on. And I love what you're doing with Sexy Sunday. It's really cool and everything. And I said, well, I'm looking for feedback. So, like, what did you like about it? And he said, I love that you are so empowered to be in your body. And it kind of like took me back, and I'm like, how so? And he goes, anybody that's able to, like, be doing what you're doing in your own body, your own framework of, like, your own self, um means that they're very self-aware. And I think that, again, that's what coaching is all about. That's what leading people right to the
Right.
water so that they can drink, and refreshing them um does, is that it helps them to see things in themselves so that they can be more self-aware. We can have more self-actualization. We can get more into our own framework so that we can step into who we really, really are. Who are we at our core? Because I think coaches like yourself are only in this industry because they are able to identify, they have a special gift to identify who people are in their core. And I
Right.
love when you told me the story of when you were in your 30s and you realized that people actually liked you, you know? And I love that story when you told it, because I was like, oh my gosh, you had this, like, epiphany, right? That people,
Right.
like, actually liked you. And I was
Right.
like, and I think it kind of, like, spurred you on in your life, right? In, like, a bigger way or something.
Right, right. And it just it led me to here, to this moment, right? To where I'm
Right.
at, where I'm just
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'm gonna make these changes. Because coaching really is, it's just the path forward. Like what? Like let's leave all that behind us. Let's figure out where we got stuck and let's move past that. Let's get unstuck and start moving forward. And these things that we told ourselves over and over and over again that never served us. Like, why are we telling ourselves these things that are just not true? They're just not true, you know, and they're
And they
holding
may
us back.
exactly. And they may be true, Diana, to some degree in that story of that ego, because
Yeah,
we know that that's ego, right? It's
right.
ego, it's fears, it's insecurities, it's shame, it's anything that's bottom dwelling, right? So maybe in that story, but like you had something, you had an experience happen when you were 30 that actually transitioned you said, into where you are right now. And I believe that it was a gift that was given to you to be able to see into other people and see their, who they are in their core, and then be able to pull that, out of them. It's awesome. I'm like so glad that we connected
I
for
am
this show. I'm
too.
like so excited.
And I just want to say, if anybody's going to lead the charge to Sexy Sundays, it's going to be you. Like, you, this is the role for you. You
Thank
really
you.
are. You've always been a leader, and just when you speak, I feel like people listen, and they should listen because you've always spoken from the heart, and I love that about you.
Thank you. Thank you. I love that. I love that. I want people to have this information because I know it can add value to their lives, and honestly, I did not like, I feel like this is being brought in from like the ethers, I cannot take credit for all of this. Like, I have an amazing team helping me and setting this up, and I have so much support. I have so much support and so many great people around me like yourself, and so I feel really, really, really grateful. And I feel like a lot of people they're going to be transformed through all of these conversations that we're having, for sure.
Love it. Well, tell us how we can get more of the Sexy Sunday show.
So sexysunday.com is the website. Sexy Sunday hashtags are everywhere. We've got Sexy Sunday show on TikTok, and we're on Instagram, and we're on Spotify. Our podcast is running on Spotify. I have amazing co-host Chris Murillo. He's a talented motherfucker. And so we've got great things going on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, which is really awesome. It's got all of our episodes and reels. And yeah, it's just, we're excited about it. So we've got great merch. We've got hoodies and t-shirts and crop tops and hats and all kinds of great stuff. So you can rock your Sexy Sunday, gear. I think every woman should be rocking a Sexy Sunday crop top, yeah, and I think the men should be rocking the talented motherfucker gear. So that's what I think.
Well,
um,
I love it. Thank you so much for your time. And I just look forward to seeing more of these Sexy Sundays and having you lead the charge for all of us.
Yay! Congratulations on your show. I'm so
Thank
excited.
you. Thanks for being my
Awesome.
launch girl.
Woohoo! An
Today
asshole.
I
You could
want to
be
be this
you could be an
person, and
asshole.
tomorrow, what?
I said, if you want to be an asshole, you can pick to be an asshole, or you can pick